Hi, and welcome to another edition of Senior Moment. I'm your host, Tom Bartee, and in our show we explore informative issues that are of interest to seniors. And today, the interests that we have are two gentlemen from the Pacific Coast Farmers Market Association, Shawn Pietzky and Greg Pursley. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Glad you guys could be here with us today. So Shawn, you are kind of a regional manager for some portion of Northern California.
That's Shawn.
I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah, I oversee about 27 markets through our association in different cities.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many markets total are with the Pacific Coast?
We have about 53 right now.
Wow, so you got not quite the lion's share. You do by one. You got one more than half.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so you probably get a 15% bonus on your pay for that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I do.
And then Shawn has been familiar with the Vallejo market, and you manage a market or multiple markets?
Multiple markets.
That's pretty cool. So most people know, most of our viewers know that Vallejo has a very, very cool and a well-attended market. I'd like to think that we're one of the top 10 markets in the state. Is there any way to verify that?
Well, we're one of the top 10 markets in our association. Since we're the biggest association in the state and the second largest in the United States, you're probably pretty well up there.
Well, that's cool. And the majority of the vendors that you have at your markets, are they local farmers, or how do you get those people?
Local in terms of, majority of our farmers probably come from Modesto area, Fresno. We have a lot of vegetable producers from that area and stone fruit producers. We recruit farmers and non-agricultural producers. They typically apply to our association, and then when we find them a good market to attend, we give them a call and see if they're interested. Or if possible, they come to us and be like, hey, we're interested in the Vallejo market. We hear it's a pretty awesome market. We're like, okay, let's give it a shot.
So when you get somebody that is a good fit, do they pretty much hang in there every week for the duration of the market? And in the case of Vallejo, it's year-round.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically with producers like prepackaged folks or hot food, they attend all year round, every weekend. We have a lot of farmers that are seasonal, like for example cherries is typically in the springtime, and when they come out in just that particular point in time.
Cherries are springtime? I guess that's in California.
Yes.
So if you're from Minnesota, probably summer.
Yeah. Seasons are all screwed up in Minnesota. So
So is Pacific Coast only in California?
Yeah.
And so Vallejo, in your profile, is one of 53 markets. And what would you say is the annual attendance at the Vallejo market?
about 2,000 people.
No,
on average.
annual. So
Annual?
we're talking like
2,000 times
yeah,
two.
Yeah.
over 100,000 people.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. I know that we're happy to have such a great farmers market, and to bring those people to our downtown, which they're going to do more than just buy produce in the market. At the very least, they're going to buy gas or maybe go somewhere to eat or something like that. So it's a very good thing to bring, for economic vitality in our community. So how long have each of you been with Pacific Coast?
I've been with Pacific Coast for 10 years now.
And I've been here for 12.
So how did you get into it? Is it just a mistake? By accident? The greatest thing that ever happened to you?
Depends on what day you're asking.
Yeah.
For myself, I had a friend of mine that worked for the association at the time, and she invited me to apply for the association, and I was hired on. So I had experience in the food industry working in grocery stores, and it was a good fit.
And I used to do events and things like that, and my sister was a farmer, so She's the
Wow.
one that contacted me about an opening.
Where was she a farmer?
Her farm was out in Byron, California,
Okay.
olive oil. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've seen olive oil at the Vallejo Market.
yep.
What would be the range of products for people in Vallejo that haven't, or, our show does go beyond Vallejo, but for people that don't understand what the market carries, what would be the range of products that are available at the market, either seasonally or on a regular basis?
Seasonally, we have almost, it seems like everything that grows under the sun. We have quite a bit of stuff. We have, in the springtime, we have asparagus will come out. We have a lot of root vegetables that come out, leafy greens. Closer towards the middle of summertime, we have cherries in early spring, and then in the summertime, we have stone fruit, peaches, nectarines, plums. We have quite a bit of that, and then we also have a larger selection of greens, onions, lettuces. We also have a good selection of organic produce there, organic apples, organic stone fruit, organic cherries, organic vegetables, and then we have that for agricultural producers. And then for prepackaged folks, we have hummuses, other dips, breads, salsas, chips, and then we have some hot food as well.
You have nuts on occasion too, right?
Yep, we have nuts as well. Mhm.
And I used to see once in a while you'd have fresh fish or oysters or
Yep.
Yep. We recently actually just had a new producer just attended selling beef, pork, and lamb, and then also have mushrooms as well, organic mushrooms.
like psilocybin mushrooms.
I'm sorry,
Psilocybin mushrooms?
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably portobello or
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. They have a pretty wide selection of mushrooms. It's pretty awesome.
yeah. Well, that's very cool. Well, I know that a lot of people. That's the only place they go to get their food. Especially people that are vegan or vegetarian.
Yeah.
And those that are eat other things, they're probably happy to see the various meats that are being provided and that kind of thing. But before the show we were talking a little bit about produce and how sometimes it might keep a week, but maybe not always. And so some of those people may have to go elsewhere. But they're in Vallejo. There's also a market on Fridays, right? At Kaiser?
Yeah. We have the Kaiser Vallejo Market, which is a pretty nice market too.
Fridays.
Is that year round too?
Yes.
Yeah.
That one's Fridays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Honey is another product they sell.
Yep. We have a local honey. Bay Area Beekeepers has hives in Vallejo. Very hyper local.
So the beekeeper has hives?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Of the agricultural variety.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you also advertise. Can you give me a little summary of how you get exposure for the market?
We do a lot of advertising on social media, Facebook, quite a few pages on that. We advertise in the local newspaper and local TV stations and radio shows as well.
And what is the geographical radius that you draw farmers from?
Oh man,
That varies. It depends on the season. Sometimes, like in the wintertime, we're not going to have any local strawberries coming from the coast, so we have to sometimes bring them from Southern California. And we'll bring farmers up from Southern California because it's still growing strawberries in the wintertime.
Wow.
So
How do you get somebody to drive all the way up here?
if they sell enough, it's worth their while.
Really?
Sure.
Well, what kind of, maybe you don't know this, but what kind of money can some of these people make on a Saturday?
It varies. Some of the farmers are just trying to get a decent, income from their products they sell, because one of the things that the farmers markets do for individual farmers, small farmers especially, is it gives them a chance to sell directly to the customer. So they're not selling to the supermarkets where they're getting a very small profit margin. They're not selling to the packing houses, which gets even smaller profit margin. They get a chance to sell directly to the customer base. And also, in turn, that gives them a chance to get to know their customers. And many reasons, a lot of times when customers come down to the markets, they want to know who their farmers are. They want to know them personally, and they like to know that, you know, Juan is the owner of this farm, or, you know, Mary is the one who's been, you know, growing these orchards for years and years. So it's one of the driving forces to the farmer's market.
Yeah, so when you buy from somebody like that you might even, you've been there often enough that you develop a personal relationship with them. You know the food, you trust the food, you know that if it's organic, you know that it's genuinely organic, and it's fresher too. A lot of times
it is.
And I know you sell flowers too, but a lot of times some of the places will pick the stuff early in the morning or like the day before and then bring it to the market. And you don't ever get that in a grocery store.
No. Most times you're going to get a truck traveling across country in a ice box.
Yeah.
That's probably a week old by the time you
Yeah.
get it. And they pick it before it's ripe,
Yep.
so that it'll ripen in transit.
A lot of the farmers that I know that specifically go to the Vallejo market, especially the Asian producers in the summertime, they'll get up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and pick the stuff before they come out to the markets. And they'll leave their ranch at like 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure they're there on time. And they take a lot of pride in that, and I think the customers do understand and respect that as well.
So the Vallejo market is on the 300 and 400 block of Georgia Street, and sometimes a little bit further down on the 200 block.
From time to time, yeah. Depending if there's like a local event happening, we'll correspond with them.
Right, and also political people can set up like a political booth on occasion, and there's an area set aside for that.
Yes.
Free speech area, yeah.
Free speech area.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even if you just want to go there and just say some really weird stuff,
Yep.
you can stand there.
Everybody has that right.
Let it go.
Yep.
Yep.
Have that right.
Now, do all the markets have entertainment?
The larger ones do,
Yeah.
but not all of them. Some of them are smaller markets. Again, the Vallejo is one of our larger markets, so that's why we usually have entertainment down there every week. So
Yeah, it's always cool to hear, you know, somebody singing on the street corner, and it's genuinely, or it's usually something that's, you know, it's fairly decent music.
yeah,
You know, it's not just some Joe Blow with a guitar or anything like that.
It makes it for a fun, inviting, festive atmosphere.
So how many vendors do you think you have per week at the Vallejo market?
During this time of the year, we'll have about 30 vendors, just because of the seasonality. We don't have very much agricultural producers at the market. It's not much growing when it's this time of year. But typically in May, June, July, we'll have about 70 producers at the market.
70?
Yep. And that's a mixture of farmers and prepackaged and hot food producers.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Do you frequently incorporate non-food items into the market?
I wouldn't say frequently. From time to time, if local, for example, we have quite a few local artisans that are interested in coming out and selling their wares. They're invited to do so if they want to. But yeah, local jewelry, clothing, paintings is common to see at the market.
I think I even saw one guy, and this is a long time ago, but he was selling accessories for cell phones. And I know that my partner was always she goes straight there first thing, and always buy a different accessory every week, even though maybe she didn't need it. She just liked checking it out. So I know that kind of diversity also helps bring additional people.
Yeah.
So the Vallejo market is it 9 to 2?
9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Correct.
So when did people start showing up to set up?
Producers show up. We close down the street at 7 a.m. and sometimes the producers are there already. They're not allowed to set up yet, but they're there eager to set up, but that's when they start setting up.
And do you shut down right at 3 o'clock? Or 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock. Yes, we do. Yep.
I know sometimes I like to come late because somebody might have half a case left and they just don't want to take it home. And so you get a volume discount. But not everybody can do that.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are required to open the streets back up at 3 o'clock. So we ask everybody to leave at that point.
So could you identify some of the other market locations you have in the North Bay or, within 15 miles of Vallejo?
Sure, we have Vacaville. We have the one you already mentioned, Kaiser Vallejo. Across the water, we have the Martinez Market, Pinole. We have a market there on Saturdays. Martinez is on Sundays. We have two markets in Concord on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. We have a market in Danville. We have a market in Pittsburgh, one in Antioch.
So the market in Concord is a fairly big one?
Yeah, both those are.
And I think they have music too, right?
Yeah, they have a concert there.
Yeah. The Tuesday market, we invite the musician, very similar to the Vallejo market, where it's typically a solo musician that will come out and play a guitar. Thursday night market, the city helped organize bands that actually come out and perform on the stage.
So right now, what are the things that you have in the market? You said you might only have 30 vendors this time of year. What are some of the things that are available now that might not be available at other times of the year?
Apples, we have organic apples. We have Smith Farms that brings out, they have their organic Fuji's, Galas, and sometimes some Brayburns. We have a wide variety of the mushrooms right now that don't grow in the summertime because it's too hot. We also have quite a bit of vegetables that are coming out right now as well, root vegetables that you'll see at the market.
You're making me hungry, talking about all this food.
Yeah, but it's hard not to eat while you're working the farmer's market. It's all right there in your face.
So on the day of the market, what kind of staffing do you normally have?
We have 2 dedicated full-time market managers that are on site, and we have a part-time market manager that helps out at the information booth.
Oh, in Vallejo, where do you have the information booth?
It's right at the intersection of Marin and Georgia Street, right by the
Caramel Corn?
It's next. It's Myers Fire Food.
Myers Barbecue.
The bar that's right there. What's that bar right there in the corner?
Townhouse.
Townhouse, yes. The Townhouse.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Well, I've been a customer of the farmers market probably for close to 20 years, and I really appreciate having you guys taking care of us in that regard. Now, in terms of other situations, I know you have a contract with Central Core Restoration Corporation in Vallejo. How does that normally work for you? Are you with the cities or other agencies in a contract to have the market?
It varies. We have different sponsors. Sometimes it's directly with the city, sometimes it's a redevelopment agency, a lot of times it's business associations, and obviously most of the time it's something they want to draw the customer base down to certain areas, so.
Support those communities.
So if you were to reach out to our audience and share anything about your market, what would that be?
That it's an awesome market. I feel I worked that market for a number of years. One thing that I really respect and appreciate about the Vallejo Farmers Market is how much community and diversity is at the market in terms of the shoppers at the market and also the producers, the farmers and non-ag that attend the market. It's a very unique farmers market compared to any other market that I've worked. And take a lot of respect and pride in offering that to the community of Vallejo.
So do you think that the variety and diversity of the market is a reflection of the community?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one thing about markets, is that we try to suit them to the communities that they serve. Each market is a little bit different to the communities that it's in. And that's one thing about Vallejo, is that, you know, the produce that's brought out there, the non-ag, the hot food, is all geared towards the community of Vallejo, and it's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to sell something in the farmer's market, say somebody locally has a mini greenhouse and they want to sell plants or something like that, how do they make those arrangements?
Well, the first thing they should do is contact our association. We can take them step by step through the process, let them know who they have to contact and everything like that. We like to tell people, before you jump into this, talk and find out exactly what's involved. Somebody who's making a product or baking something, we want them to know, first of all, you have to have a place to go. We need to know that there's the space available for you. Then also the costs that are going to be involved in it. So we don't like anybody jumping in and realizing they've gotten over their head. So we try to walk the way through the process of it. But contact us first is usually the best way.
Definitely encourage them to come down to the farmers market and talk with the market manager on site or the producers on site to get their idea of what they need to do.
Is that the same thing for somebody that wants to exercise their free speech?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if they want to come down and talk with the market manager on site, and they're always on site, and they'll be able to show them the appropriate place where they can do that.
Does the participation in the free speech, does that directly correlate with election time?
No, it's all year round, believe me.
It's a little busier and louder during election time,
Yeah.
but it's every market that we operate on there's a dedicated freedom of speech spot.
Do you have a set pricing schedule for the vendors? Is it by the space, or is it?
Yeah. It varies according to whether they're farmers or they're packaged food or hot foods. Slightly varies.
So the packaged and hot food pay more?
Yeah,
That's good.
because it is a farmer's market.
Yeah. So you actually have guidelines on maintaining a certain quotient of a balance between actually fresh produce and farmers and the other stuff you might provide.
Yeah, usually we try to set a 2-to-1 ratio by the most part. Some markets it'll vary. Some markets, we have markets that it's 95% ag and only 5% non-ag, But then we have smaller markets, like we have one market in downtown Oakland that's over half non-ag because it's a lunch crowd. So.
Oh.
And seasonality is a huge factor in that as well. Like in the summertime, we'll have 3/4 of the market will be agricultural products, but in the wintertime, like the Vallejo market, it will be like half and half.
Where's the market in Oakland?
We have a few markets. One is right off of Lake Merritt. It's at number 1 Kaiser Plaza. That's a weekday market on Wednesday.
North side of Lake Merritt.
Yeah.
Then Berkeley, probably near
That's
the BART
different.
station.
We don't have any markets in Berkeley,
Oh, that's right.
per se.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about your competitor.
Yeah.
I'll have to take that back.
It's easy to be confused in the Bay Area. There's a lot of markets in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Well, you were saying earlier also that there's way more different market agencies or companies or whatever you want to call it
Associations, yeah.
than I ever thought there were.
Yeah.
And like you're the biggest, and maybe you're one of the top 5 in the country.
We're the second largest in the country, yeah. At one point we were the largest, but we cut back. At one point we had 72 markets.
Wow.
So we reduced down.
Was that just to make it more manageable, or?
We hit a point where we decided we wanted quality over quantity, And
Yeah.
so we looked at the markets that we didn't feel we were doing good enough in that location, either by us or by the local, city or a business association. Because, ultimately, we want our markets to be a very symbiotic relationship. It should be something that's helping the downtown association, helping the city, So we like to think that we open a market and we make it part of that town, so that the local community feel it's a place to go, place to meet your neighbors.
Well, it seems like the Vallejo Market has been around 25 years.
21 since
21 years?
1999.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when it got started up. The lady actually, one of the ladies that helped found it, Linda Engelman, just passed away. And I think she was in her 70s. So, it's been a fixture in our city and a great thing for Vallejo for a long, long time. So we have about 30 seconds left. If you guys have anything last minute you want to share, like your phone number, website.
I just would like to make some memorable notions to Rita with CCRC. She's been a great partner and nice to work with. Linda with the Downtown Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank her as well. Big shout out to CCRC for their support and with working with CVT about their security. It's one thing about the market that's been greatly improved. Thank you so much for attending the market. If you haven't, you can visit our website at www.pcfma.org or give us a call at 925-825-9090 and to visit or talk to anybody about our farmers markets.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
He said it all.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. I know our viewers will also benefit from, if they want to see the show once or twice, they can see our show on Tuesdays or Thursdays at 6 p.m. on Comcast 27, AT&T UVerse 99, or streaming live video at vcat.tv. So come see us again next time.